Okay, I got Sunrise on the Reaping from my local library. So it has the sticker covering the library decal, the barcode. And so I'm really excited about this. I've read all the Hunger Games books. I've been a big fan even before the movies came out. And I bought like all the previous Hunger Games books. So if I like this one, I'm gonna buy this one and then gift like multiple copies to people that, in my family that also like the Hunger Games. So I just wanted to read a little bit of it and then like just talk about it. So the only thing I'm like totally going in blind. So the only thing I know about this, I think this is about Haymitch when he was in the Hunger Games. And if you remember, Haymitch was Katniss's District 12 like mentor. So he was in the Hunger Games, and each of the people in the Hunger Games, the contestants, they get a mentor from a previous like victor from their district. And District 12 only had one victor at that time, which was Haymitch. So I'm excited to see. Maybe it's not about him. We'll find out. So in the back it says, when you've been set up to lose everything you love, what is there left to fight for? So, all right, let's see. So inside it says, as the day dawns on the 50th annual Hunger Games, fear grips the districts of Panem. This year, in honor of the Quarter Quell, twice as many tributes will be taken from their homes. Oh, twice as many? Oh, that's right, the Quarter Quell. That's something that, like a little special. It's been a while since I read the books, so yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think that happens every like 25 years, 12 years? But I'm sure the book will explain. Back in District 12, Haymitch Abernathy is trying not to think too hard about his chances. All he cares about is making it through the day and being with the girl he loves. Oh, he had like a tragic backstory with a romance. When Haymitch's name is called, he can feel all his dreams break. He's torn from his family and his love, shuttled to the capital with the 3 other District 12 tributes, a young friend who's nearly a sister to him, a compulsive odds maker, and the most stacked up girl in town. As the games begin, Haymitch understands he's been set up to fail, but there's something in him that wants to fight, and have that fight reverberate far beyond the deadly arena. Okay, I'll have to be reminded what the Quarter Quell is. Doesn't it take like previous Hunger Games victors and put them in the games? Is this in the future or is this in the past? Okay, we'll have to find out. So copyright 2025, so this like just recently came out. So I'm really excited. I've prevented myself from looking at any spoilers. Okay, so here's some quotes that kind of set us up for the theme of the book. From George Orwell, all propaganda is lies, even when one is telling the truth. I don't think this matters so long as one knows what one is doing and why. Okay, so I guess, propaganda, it's trying to make somebody believe or do something that may be against, their natural belief system. So, you could think of that as marketing, like TikTok influencers trying to sell you something, sell you this and that, and oh, this is so amazing, this is life-changing, run, not walk to the store because I'm so obsessed with this product. That's basically propaganda. And people eat it up nowadays. So it's basically lying, even if it is a good product and the influencer believes it's a good product, it's still lying because they're over exaggerating, and it's forcing somebody through manipulation to do something they normally wouldn't have done if they didn't come across this message or TikTok series or whatever. So he says, I don't think this matters as long as one knows what one is doing and why. So I'm wondering if I'm not familiar with this quote, but it does make me think it doesn't matter if somebody is telling the truth or lying if they have some goal to accomplish. And if they accomplish the goal of manipulating people and they know that they're manipulating people and why they're manipulating people and why they're forcing people, because you always think of like forcing people in a way of like pushing someone to do something, but you can still force somebody through propaganda, showing like, oh, this is all fun and sunshine and anyone who goes against it is evil and all that stuff. So, no matter what the topic is, if you're over exaggerating like that, it's still propaganda, it's still lying, it's still forcing somebody to do something. So he has an interesting take on this. I'll have to think about that a little bit more. So here's William Blake. A truth that's told with bad intent beats all the lies you can invent. Oh, that's a good point. So if somebody's telling the truth and you're like say you want to slam somebody and make them feel bad about themselves, and you tell them like this really blunt truth about them, not because you want to help them, but because you want to destroy them and make them feel bad, just for giggles, just to amuse you, then that's worse than somebody, I guess, believing a lie, because the truth does hit harder than lies, because you can brush off lies if you know they're lies, but it's hard to brush off the truth. Nothing appears more surprising to those who consider human affairs with a philosophical eye than the easiness in which the many are governed by the few, and the implicit submission with which men resign their own sentiments and passions to those of their rulers. When we inquire by what means this wonder is effected, we shall find that, as force is always on the side of the governed, the governors have nothing to support them but opinion. It is therefore on opinion only that government is founded, and this maxim extends to the most despotic and most military governments, as well as to the most free and most popular. David Hume. Oh, here's another David Hume. That the sun will not rise tomorrow is no less intelligible a proposition and implies no more contradiction than the affirmation that it will rise. So he's basically saying we don't know what's in the future, and if somebody says, oh, the sun might explode tomorrow, it's just as valid as someone saying, yeah, the sun's probably going to rise tomorrow, because it has risen for however long the sun's been around and the earth. So everything's possible. So let's start part 1, the birthday. Happy birthday, Hamish. It's his birthday. The upside of being born on reaping day. Oh, he was born on reaping day. Aww. Did he turn 12 like on reaping day? That is tragic. Let's find out. The upside of being born on reaping day is that you can sleep late on your birthday. It's pretty much downhill from there. A day off school hardly compensates for the terror of the name drawing. Even if you survive that, nobody feels like having cake after watching 2 kids being hauled off to the Capitol for slaughter. I roll over and pull the sheet over my head. Happy birthday, my 10-year-old brother, said. Oh, he has a little brother. Gives my shoulder a shake. You said to be your rooster. You said you wanted to get to the woods at daylight. Aw. It's true. I'm hoping to finish my work before the ceremony so I can devote the afternoon to the 2 things I love best. Wasting time and being with my girl, Lenore Dove. Aw. I'm excited to learn more about her. My mom makes indulging in either of these a challenge, since she regularly announces that no job is too hard or dirty or tricky for me, and even the poorest people can scrape up a few pennies to dump their misery on someone else. But given the dual occasions of the day, I think she'll allow for a bit of freedom as long as my work is done. It's the game makers who might ruin my plans. Okay, so since he has a girlfriend, I'm thinking he's probably like a teenager, maybe 15, 16 maybe. Hey Mitch, so he has a 10-year-old brother, so siblings aren't usually too far apart, so I'm thinking he's 15 or 16, but we'll find out. Hey Mitch, wails Sid, the sun's coming up. All right, I'm up too. I roll straight off the mattress onto the floor and pull on a pair of shorts made from a government-issued flour sack. I always think, back in the day, people would make tons of clothing out of flour sacks just to reuse everything. And just how much stuff we have nowadays. Like, I'm always amazed by, like, our transportation. Like, I just tend to compare us to, like, the Middle Ages or something. Like, we live like kings compared to like 99% of human history. We have air conditioning, heating, indoor plumbing, just tap water. People complain about tap water, but it's like almost a miracle. And like electric lights and clothes that are made up of all sorts of different things, and we have the choice to pay, for cotton clothes, polyester, whatever we want. So it just always amazes me how society can function, even though, we people have so many problems and we're always fighting each other and sabotaging each other and seeing each other as us versus them in various different ways. It's just amazing how we can get anything done in all this, like, these modes of hatred for each other. I think, getting off social media has helped me a lot, and the depression I feel of like seeing people divided and in large ways down to the minute small things like men versus women, women versus men. It's just exhausting, different countries against each other, different cultures against each other, different political factions against each other, like bickering over like details and differences that, it's like, why can't we get along better? Why can't we respect each other more? Even if somebody does have a different opinion, it's just, I don't know. But that's how people have always been, all throughout history. And it is really sad. Not many people are willing to try to harmonize with there's a lot more people who try to be divisive and being like, oh, you're evil because XYZ. Instead of, okay, you disagree with me, but let's try to find common ground. Let's try to find the humanity in each other. So I think stuff like that, seeing stuff like that in real life, it does put the background to like dystopian post-apocalyptic worlds like that. It makes stuff like this like feel more realistic, which is very scary. So I was kind of rant just from thinking of the flour sack and how, yeah, people used to make clothes all the time and just how lucky we are, but we still find millions, if not billions, of reasons to complain and hate each other, and it is very tragic. And we already know part of Haymitch's backstory and how difficult and painful his life is. So I think this is going to be a pretty rough book. Okay, let's continue. The words courtesy of the capital end up stamped across my butt, all because of the flour sack. People put words on their butts on purpose, so it's kind of funny that it kind of sounds accidental just because they're trying to use up as much as possible. My mom wastes nothing. Widowed young when my pa died in a coal mine fire. Aw, Man, his father went a similar way as Katniss's. Katniss's father got caught in the coal mine collapse. Widowed young, when my pa died in a coal mine fire, she'd raised Sid and me by taking in laundry and making every bit of everything count. The hardwood ashes in the fire pit are saved for lye soap. Eggshells get ground up to fertilize the garden. Hey, I do that. I mean, it really helps, especially with tomatoes. Any plant that needs calcium, yeah, it's really awesome. And I have some pet fish, and I use the water when I change water to water my plants, and yeah, they just thrive. Plants love fish water. Someday these shorts will be torn into strips and woven into a rug. I finish dressing and toss Sid back in his bed, where he burrows right down in the patchwork quilt. In the kitchen, I grab a piece of cornbread and upgrade for my birthday instead of the gritty, dark stuff made from the capital flour. Out back, my ma's already stirring a steaming kettle of clothes with a stick, her muscles straining as she flips a pair of miner's overalls. She's only 35, but life's sorrows have already cut lines into her face like they do. Ma catches sight of me in the doorway and wipes her brow. Happy 16th. Oh, okay, so he's 16. Sauce on the stove. Thanks, Ma. I find a saucepan of stewed plums and scoop on my bread before I head out. Scoop some on my bread before I head out. I found these in the woods the other day, but it's a nice surprise to have them all hot and sugared. Need you to fill the cistern today, Ma says as I pass. We've got cold running water, only it comes out in a thin stream that would take an age to fill a bucket. There's a special barrel of pure rainwater she charges extra for because the clothes come out softer, but she uses our well water for most of the laundry. What with pumping and hauling, filling the cistern's a 2-hour job even with Sid's help. Can't it wait until tomorrow, I ask? I'm running low, and I've got a mountain of wash to do, she answers. This afternoon then, I say, trying to hide my frustration. If the reaping's done by 1, and assuming we're not part of this year's sacrifice, I can finish the water by 3 and still see Lenore Dove. Oh no, so we know he's gonna be reaped. Oh, that's so sad. Yeah, he's still thinking about his normal life. It's like, okay, if I'm not reaped, oh, he can finish the water by 3 and still see his girlfriend. A blanket of mist wraps protectively around the warm gray houses of the seam. It would be soothing if it wasn't for the scattered cries of children being chased in their dreams. In the last few weeks, as the 50th Hunger Games has drawn closer, these sounds have become more frequent. Okay, the 50th, so it is in the 25-year cycle. Because was it Katniss's quarter quell? That was like the 75th Hunger Games. Okay, the sounds have become more frequent, which, like the anxious thoughts, I work hard to keep at bay. The second quarter quell, twice as many kids. No point in worrying, I tell myself. There's nothing you can do about it. Like 2 Hunger Games in 1. No way to control the outcome of the reaping or what follows it. So don't feed the nightmares. Don't let yourself panic. Don't give the capital that. They've taken enough already. I follow the empty cinder street to the hill with a miner's graveyard. A jumble of rough markers spikes the slope. Everything from headstones with carved names and dates to wooden boards with peeling paint. My paws buried in the family plot. Aww. A patch of Abernathy's with 1 limestone marker doing for us all. Okay, so yeah, they're very use up everything and very efficient, like one grave marker for like a whole family instead of usually it's 1 marker for each person. After a quick check for witnesses, no one's here much, and certainly not at dawn, I crawl under the fence into the woods outside District 12 and begin the trek to the still. Brewing white liquor with Hattie Meany is dicey business, but it's a picnic compared to killing rats or cleaning outhouses. She expects me to work hard, but she works hard herself, and even though she'll never see 60 again, she can do more than a person half her age. There's a lot of grunt work involved. Collecting firewood, hauling grain, taking in the full bottles of toting back the empties to be refilled. That's where I come in. I'm Hattie's mule. I stop at what we call the depot, a bare patch of ground concealed by the drooping boughs of a willow tree where Hattie drops off supplies. Two 25-pound sacks of cracked corn await, and I swing one over each other. It takes about half an hour to reach the still, where I find Hattie tending a pot of mash next to the remains of a small fire. She offers me her long-handled wooden spoon. Why don't you give this a stir? I drop the bags of corn under a lean-to where we keep supplies and raise the spoon in victory. Whoa, a promotion! Me being allowed to handle the mash is something new. Maybe Hattie's starting to train me to be a partner one day. Two of us brewing full-time would increase output, and there's always more demand than she can meet, even for the eye-watering stuff she makes with the capital grain. Particularly for that, since it's cheap enough for the miners to afford. The good stuff gets bought up by disorderly soldiers, peacekeepers that is, and the richer folk in town. But bootlegging's illegal 10 different ways, and all it would take is a new head peacekeeper, one who didn't like a stiff drink himself, to land us in the stocks or worse. Mining's tough work, but they don't hang you for it. While Hattie packs pint bottles of white liquor into a basket lined with moss, I squat down and stir the mash on and off. When it's cooled some, I pour it into a deep bucket and she adds the yeast. I set the mash in the lean-to so it can ferment. She's not distilling today since she doesn't want to risk the smoke attracting attention if the mist burns off. Our local peacekeepers may turn a blind eye to Hattie's still and her stall in the hob, an old warehouse that serves as our black market, but she's worried their capital counterparts in their low-flying cloaked hovercraft will spot us from the air. No hauling in the bottles today either, so I'm tasked with chopping wood for the week. When the pile's replenished, I ask what else needs doing, and she just shakes her head. Hattie's endeared herself to me by throwing in a tip sometimes. Not with my wages, which she pays directly to my mother, but by slipping me a little something on the sly. A handful of cracked corn I can take to Lenore Dove for her geese, a packet of yeast I can barter with at the hob, and today a pint of white liquor for my own use. She gives me her broken tooth grin and says, "Happy birthday, Hamish. I figure if you're old enough to make it, you're old enough to drink it." I have to agree, and though I'm not a drinker myself, remember later he does become a drinker. He's like a total alcoholic to try to cope with all the horrors he's experienced in life. Oh, this is tragic. I'm glad to get a bottle. I can easily sell it or trade it, or possibly pass it on to Lenore Dove's uncle, Clerk Carmine, so that he might have a kinder opinion of me. He's gonna try to bribe her family. You'd think the son of a washerwoman would be harmless enough, but we Abernathy's were known rebels back in the day, and apparently we still carry the scent of sedition, scary and seductive in equal parts. Rumors spread after my father's death, rumors that the fire had not been an accident. Ooh, gosh. People do hold some grudges. Yeah, there's that humanity, We just love to hate on each other and feel very threatened by each other. Like, oh, this person has to hate me and they want me dead. Oh no, I must defend myself and attack them and kill them before they kill me. Yeah, I don't know what in us makes us like that, but I don't know, we're just more likely to go that way than try to just talk to each other and try to find understanding, even if we don't agree. I don't know why we're like that. Some say he died sabotaging the mine. Oh, others say that his crew was targeted by the capital bosses for being a pack of troublemakers. So it could be my kin's the problem. Aw, not that Clerk Carmine has any love for the peacekeepers, but he's not one for yanking their chain either. Or maybe he just doesn't like his niece running around with a bootlegger. Yeah, I can see that. Even if the work's steady. Yeah, I can see that. Like if I had someone in my family and they're running around with someone who's, potentially breaking the law. And he said earlier, bootlegging, it can get you hanged. So the uncle, he has to not want his niece to either see her boyfriend hanged and go into horrible grief and trauma. Maybe the niece could get into trouble too. And I'd worry about that too. Like what kind of trouble bootlegging could bring her into. Like maybe she's going to get hanged. So yeah, I can see the uncle's concern. And this is what I like about Suzanne Collins's writing is the people are very, you can understand them. Even like the grumpy people or like the so-called mean people, you can kind of understand where they're coming from. There's always a reason. It's not like there's like an evil person who's laughing maniacally in an evil lab somewhere going, I am so evil and I love being evil, ha ha ha, let me commit evil crimes onto other people and not care about them. Villains are a little more complex than that and much more human. Well, whatever the reason, he rarely gives me more than a terse nod, and he once told Lenore Dove that I was the kind that died young, which I don't think he meant as a recommendation. Okay, yeah, see, he thinks that Haymitch is in some sketchy stuff that's going to get him in trouble, possibly killed, and he doesn't want his niece dragged into being murdered, being killed by peacemakers, being thrown into jail, having her reputation tarnished, any of that. So yeah, I like how we see in just a couple words, we see the uncle's perspective. And it's one that has concern and love for his niece and wants the best for his niece. Hattie yelps as I impulsively give her a hug. Oh, enough of that. You still sparking that Covey girl? I'm sure trying, I say, laughing. Go bother her then. You're of no use to me today. She dumps a scoop of cracked corn into my hand and shoos me away. I pocket the corn and take off before she can change her mind about her best gift. Unexpected time with my girl. Aw. I know I should probably head home and get a jump on filling the cistern, but I can't resist the thought of a few stolen kisses. It's my birthday, and for once that cistern can wait. The mist begins to thin as I run through the woods to the meadow. Most people comment on its beauty, but Lenore Dove calls it the friend of the condemned because it can hide you from the peacekeepers. She tends to take a dark view of things, but maybe that's to be expected from someone named for a dead girl. Oh, Lenore, that's the Edgar Allan Poe poem. Yeah, about the girl who dies and the guy who's like in the poem is talking about his dead love. That is a really pretty poem. It was the fall after I turned 10 and the first time I'd ever snuck under the fence that surrounds our district. I'd been deterred by both the law and the threat of wild predators, which are real but rare. My friend Burdock had finally worn me down, saying he did it all the time and there was nothing to it, and there were still apples if you could climb. And I could climb, and I loved apples. Plus, him being younger than me made me feel like a big scaredy cat if I didn't. Want to hear something? Burdock asked as we ventured deep into the woods. He tilted back his head and sang out in that remarkable voice of his. High and sweet like a grown-up woman's, but cleaner, nothing warbly about it. Everything seemed to go still, and then the mocking jays began to pick it up. I knew they'd sing for other birds, but I'd never heard them sing for a person before. Pretty impressive stuff. Until an apple dropped smack on Burdock's head, cutting him off. Who Who's squawking at my birds? A girl's voice demanded. And there she was, about 20 feet up, sprawled out on the branch like she lived there. Crooked pigtails, dirty bare feet, munching on an apple, a small cloth-bound book in her hand. Burdock cocked his head and laughed. Hey, cuz, you're allowed out here alone? 'Cause I'm sure not. Well, I didn't see you, she said. Me you either. Toss us down some, would you? In answer, she stood up on her branch and began to bounce up and down, showering us with apples. Hang on, I've got a sack with my bow. Burdock ran off. She scooted down the branches and swung to the ground. She wasn't one of Burdock's Everdeen cousins. Oh, Everdeen! So Burdock is cousins with like Everdeens, but he's also cousins with this Lenore girl. But I knew he had some distant ones on his ma's side. I'd seen her around at school, kind of shy, I thought, but I didn't know her to speak to. She didn't seem in a rush to change that, just stood there looking me over until I broke the silence. I'm Hamish. I'm Lenore Dove. Dove like the bird? No, dove like the color. What color is that? Same as the bird. So doves are usually gray, like the mourning doves are gray, and they have white doves. That started my head spinning, and I guess it's never quite stopped. Yeah, like doves are all sorts of different colors. Soon after at school, she waved me over to a dog-eared dictionary and pointed. Dove color, warm gray with a slight purplish or pinkish tint. Okay, her color, her bird, her name. Oh, is that, because I'm thinking of like the songbird and snake. Yeah, the about President Snow. And that kind of looks like that, but it kind of looks like probably a jabberjay though, not a dove. Yeah, that definitely has like a jay-like look in its eye. I like blue jays. They're so cute and spunky. After that, I started to notice things about her, how her faded overalls and shirts concealed snips of color, a bright blue handkerchief peeking from her pocket, a raspberry ribbon stitched inside her cuff. How she finished up her lessons quick, but didn't make a fuss about it, just stared out the window. Then I spotted her fingers moving, pressing down imaginary keys, playing songs. Her foot slipped from her shoe, her stockinged heel keeping time, silent against the wood floor. Like all the covey, music in her blood. The covey, that's where like Snow's girlfriend came from, right? Yeah, because she was into music, but not like them too. Less interested in pretty melodies, more in dangerous woods, the kind that lead to rebel acts, the kind that got her arrested twice. Ooh. Okay, so she's already into trouble, so the uncle shouldn't blame Hamish for any of the trouble she gets into, because she is a willing participant. But I'm sure the uncle is still concerned that Hamish doesn't make anything better. He's like a bad influence that probably encourages her bad behavior. But yeah, I don't think people have a really hard time taming her. She was only 12 then, and they let her go. Now it would be different. Okay, yeah, now that she's getting older, her crimes will have higher punishments. Because, when you're young, people think, oh, it's just a kid, they haven't learned yet. But the older you get, the less people are willing to be patient with you because you are old enough to know better. But, she still has that fiery spirit in her. She wants the apples. As I reach the meadow, I slip under the fence and pause to catch my breath and drink in the sight of Lenore Dove perched on her favorite rock. The sunlight picks up the hint of red in her hair as she bends over an ancient piano accordion. She coaxes a melody out of the wheezy old thing, serenading a dozen geese grazing on the grass. Oh, that's her geese. Her voice is soft and haunting as moonlight. They hang the man and flog the woman who steals the goose from off the common, yet let the greater villain loose that steals the common from the goose. Ooh, I like those lyrics. So the man and the woman who steal a goose are flogged and have horrible punishment, but the greater villain is stealing the common from the goose. So it's like the goose is kind of hanging out in its natural habitat, and whoever's owning the common is preventing geese to be on there. So it's a treat to hear her sing, since she never does it in public. None of the Covey do. Her uncles are really more musicians than singers, so they just play tunes and leave the singing to the audience if they're so inclined. Lenore Dove likes this better anyway. Says it makes her too nervous to sing in front of people. Her throat closes up. Clerk Carmine and her other uncle, Tam Amber, have raised her since her ma died in childbirth. Seeing her pa's always been something of a mystery. They're not blood kin, her being a bard. Oh, a bard! Like Lucy Bard, that was her name, Snow's old girlfriend. But the Covey look out for their own. They worked out a deal with the mayor, whose house boasts the only real piano in District 12. Lenore Dove can practice on it if she plays during an occasional dinner or gathering. Her in a faded green dress, an ivory ribbon tying back her hair, lips tinted orange. When her family performs around District 12 for money, she makes do with the instrument she is playing now, which she calls her tune box. The law demands that we atone when we take things we do not own, but leaves the lords and ladies fine who take things that are yours and mine. So it's like, everyone in the upper government is always like, you need to be more fair and give all your money to us and we will be fair, unlike you. And distribute it fairly. But, they tend to keep it to themselves. More human nature, all the people in the power. When people get power, they just want more power. And when people get money, they just want more money. So even though I'm not rich, I try to remind myself just how amazing my life is. Like I get refrigerated drinks. It sounds silly, but I'm still so amazed that I get running like tap water, indoor plumbing, air conditioning, lights, it's just amazing. I think like 99.9% of humanity throughout all of history would be so shocked and amazed at what we have right now and all these little things we take for granted, and just complain, why don't I have more? It does humble me to think that way. So I know part of me is still like this, even though I'm not a lord or lady, I don't own anything, I'm like the bottom rung of my society. Still, the wealth that I have in relation to like a medieval peasant, it is pretty amazing. So yeah, I try not to complain too much, because it is really easy to think, this what I have now is standard, and I deserve and I need more, even if I don't necessarily need more. Yeah, and when we take things we do not own, it reminds me of the saying, you will own nothing and be happy. And yeah, I don't know why there's such a big push for that. It is a little creepy. This is not a song her uncles let her play at the mayor's house, or even when she performs around District 12. There's the danger that some people might know the words and start a ruckus, too rebellious. And I have to say, I agree with Clerk Carmine and Tam Amber. Yeah, I guess in this society it is really rebellious to say, the people who have the most power, who feel more entitled to take all of our stuff, in terms of being fair, and then they keep most of it for themselves instead of like using it for what they say they're supposed to be distributing it for. And it's really easy for people who are in the highest level of power and in government and who have the most money to hide when they get all the people's money. Why go around asking for trouble? Plenty to be had without inviting it in. The poor and wretched don't escape if they conspire the law to break. This must be so, but they endure, those who conspire to make the law. I scan the meadow. It's secluded, but we all know there are eyes everywhere, and eyes generally come with a pair of ears. So it's like you can't even speak or make a song out of anything that is like criticizing those higher up in government and those higher up in power. So you do hear that those who have the true power, you find out who those people are if you aren't allowed to criticize them. The law locks up the man or woman who steals the goose from off the common, and geese will steal a common lack till they go and steal it back. The geese don't really care about human laws and geese just do what they want to do. Lenore Dove explained to me once that the common was land anyone could use. Sometimes the peacekeepers chase her and the geese off the meadow for no reason. She says that that's just a teaspoon of trouble in a river of wrong. She worries me, and I'm an Abernathy, so he's like, wow, she's like more of a troublemaker than even me. A few of the geese hissed to announce my arrival. Lenore Dove's was the first face they saw when they hatched. Aw, and they don't love anyone but her. But since I've got corn, they'll tolerate me today. I toss it a ways away to call off her bodyguards and lean in to kiss her. Then I kiss her again, and she kisses me right back. Happy birthday, she says when we come up for air. Didn't expect to see you until after. She means the reaping, but I don't want to talk about it. Hattie let me go early, I tell her. Gave me this too, a present for my big day. I pull out the bottle. Well, that won't be hard to trade, especially today. Besides, New Year's, today's when most people get drunk. Oh, 4 kids, that's going to hit a lot of families. I guess we're going to talk about it. It's going to be all right, I say, which rings hollow. You don't really believe that, do you? Maybe not, but I try to, because the reaping's going to happen no matter what I believe. Sure as the sun will rise tomorrow. Lenore frowns. Well, there's no proof that will happen. You can't count on things happening tomorrow just because they happened in the past. It's faulty logic, just like the quote in the beginning. That the sun will not rise tomorrow is no less intelligible proposition and implies no more contradiction than the affirmation that it will rise. Okay, so I'm seeing that this is more of a symbolic gesture, like from the author's perspective, to show the different mentalities of Haymitch and Lenore. So Lenore, she's more of a positive, kind of hopeful person. So she has a lot of hope in her. And Haymitch, he's more of a pessimist. So, yeah, one mentality isn't better than the other. They both have their purpose, and both of those mentalities is beneficial in certain situations and with certain people. So I like that, that they both have like opposite views from each other. So if they're, mature people, they can find like common ground between them, or they could find positive ways for Lenore to express her positivity, and find ways for Haymitch's pessimism to ground them and come up with ideas and preparations for worst case scenarios. So yeah, they need each other. Pessimists and optimists, they need each other. So, and that's, oh, is it, I say, because it's kind of how people plan out their lives. See, yep, he's a pessimist and he wants to plan for the worst case scenario just in case. He wants to prepare for things, for bad things. Okay, and this is her response. And that's part of our trouble, thinking things are inevitable, not believing change is possible. Oh, she has her hope going. I love this. We have the pessimist and the hopeful person exchanging, going back and forth. I guess, but I can't really imagine the sun not rising tomorrow. Just like the the title of the book. It's all coming together. A crease forms between her eyebrows as she puzzles out a response. Can you imagine it rising on a world without a reaping? Oh, she's like so hopeful for the future. Oh gosh, why don't we see her later? Like, I wonder if she's still alive, like when Katniss is around. Oh, this is going to be tragic, isn't it? Okay, here's Haymitch talking. Not on my birthday. Oh, I've never had one that came without a reaping. I try to distract her with a kiss, but she's determined to make me see. Oh, she wants to, like, bring his hopes up. No, listen, she says earnestly. Think about it. You're saying, today is my birthday, and there's a reaping. Last year on my birthday, there was also a reaping. So every year, there will be a reaping on my birthday. But you have no way of knowing that. I mean, the reapings didn't exist until 50 years ago. Give me one good reason why it should keep happening just because it's your birthday. Well, it's not just because it's his birthday. It's just the time that the reapings happen. For a girl who's quiet in public, she sure can talk up a storm in private. Sometimes she's hard to keep up with. Lenore Dove is always patient when she explains stuff, not superior, but maybe she's just too smart for me. Because while it's a fine idea, thinking about a world with no reaping, I don't really see it happening. The Capitol has all the power, and that's that. I didn't say it was just because of my birthday. I said, what did I say? I can't even remember now. Sorry, you've lost me. Her face falls. No, I'm sorry. It really is your birthday, and here I am going on about who knows what. She digs in her pocket and holds out a small package wrapped in a scrap of dove-colored fabric. Aw, dove-colored fabric, tied with a ribbon the same dappled green as her eyes. Happy birthday. Tam Amber made it. I traded eggs for the medal and helped him design it. Besides playing a crazy good mandolin, Tam Amber's the best hand forger in District 12. He's the go-to blacksmith for new gadgets or broken parts for old machines. Burdock has a dozen of his arrow tips that he treats like gold, and some of the richer folks in town have jewelry he made from actual gold or silver. Wow, melted down from heirlooms or refashioned. I can't think of what he made for me, but I eagerly untie the bow. The object that slips into my palm doesn't register at once. It's a thin strip of metal shaped like a C. My fingers naturally grip the curved back as I examine the colorful animals facing off at the opening. Is it this? That's kind of a C. Oh, the head of a snake hisses at the beak of a long-necked bird. I flatten out my hand and see that their enameled scales and feathers travel around the piece until they merge and become indistinguishable. 2 small rings are welded on. Is she proposing? They're too young for that. 2 small rings are welded on, one behind each head for a chain, maybe? Okay. He's gonna wear it as a necklace in the Hunger Games. It's beautiful, I say. It's to wear, right? Well, you know I like my pretty with a purpose, Lenore Dove replies cryptically, making me work it out myself. Well, it does have spikes. If the spikes were facing this way, you could use it as a weapon, but... Okay, I turn it over in my hand, then grip the C again, this time covering the animal heads with my fingers. Then I see its purpose. The smooth steel edge isn't solely decorative. It's a flint striker, I conclude. Ooh, I wonder if that's going to help in the Hunger Games. It sure is. Only you don't have to have flint. Any decent sparking rock like quartz will do. Wow. At home, we have to beat up old striker passed down through my ma's family, ugly and dull. On long winter nights, she made me practice with it until I could reliably get a fire going, so we wouldn't have to waste money on matches. A penny saved is a penny earned. I run my finger around the fine metalwork of the feathered neck. I wouldn't want to ruin it. You won't. That's what it's made for. She touches the snake's head, then the bird's in turn. It takes a lot to break these two. They're survivors. I love it. I give her a long, soft kiss. And I love you like all fire. All fire is Covey talk, but that expression is ours. Usually it makes her smile, but she's dead serious now. You too. We kiss until I taste salt. I don't have to ask why. Oh, she's crying. Look, it's okay, I assure her. We're going to be fine. She nods, but the tears keep trickling. Lenore Dove, we're going to get through today, just like last year and the year before, and eventually move past it. But we won't really, she says bitterly. No one in 12 will. The Capitol makes sure the Hunger Games is burned into our brains. She taps the bottle. Guess Hattie's in the right business, helping people to forget. Oh, so all of her hopeful optimism. I think when she's telling Haymitch how, all these hopeful things, she's trying to convince herself at the same time. Lenore Dove, Clerk Carmine doesn't holler, but he has one of those voices that carries without needing to. He stands at, so it's like, Lenore Dove. He stands at the edge of the meadow, fish shoved in his patched overalls. He's a fiddler and protective of his hands. Better be getting ready. I'm coming, she says, wiping her eyes. Clark Carmine doesn't comment on her state, just shoots me a look that says he holds me responsible, then turns on his heel. He never paid me much mind until Lenore Dove and I got serious. Since then, nothing I do seems right. I once told Lenore Dove I thought he just hated love. That's when she revealed that he'd been together some 30 years with a fellow in town who replaces busted windows. They have to keep it quiet because loving differently can get you harassed by the peacekeepers, fired from jobs, arrested even. Given his own challenges, you'd think Clerk Carmine would be a champion of our love. I'm certainly supportive of his, but I guess he thinks Lenore Dove could do better. She hates us to that. I guess it's like he's probably dealing with a lot on his own. So, seeing Lenore getting involved in a bootlegger is just like adds more stress onto him. So I can see more of his mindset now. She hates us to be at odds, so all I say is I'm definitely growing on him. That gets her to laugh enough to break the mood. I can come by after, got some chores, but I should be done about 3. We'll go to the woods, okay? We'll go to the woods, she confirms it with a kiss. Oh, she's gonna go to the woods, but she's gonna, no. It's not gonna happen. Back home, I take a cold water bucket bath and pull on the pants my pa got married in, and a shirt my ma pieced together from handkerchiefs from the Capitol store where the miners shop. You have to at least try to look dressed up for the reaping. Turn up in raggedy clothes and the peacekeepers hit you or arrest your parents because that's not how you show respect for the Capitol war dead. Wow. Never mind that we had plenty of war dead on our own. Ma gives me my birthday presents, a year's supply of flour sack underwear, ooh, that's gotta be very rough, and a brand new pocket knife with strict instructions that the latter is not to be used for mumble tea peg or any other knife games. Sid presents me with a piece of flint rock wrapped in a grubby bit of brown paper saying, I found it in the gravel road by the peacekeepers' base. Lenore Dove said you'd want it. I pull out my flint striker and try it out, making some beautiful sparks in the process. And though Ma isn't sold on Lenore Dove, given that she's a distraction, she likes the striker enough to thread a leather bootlace through the metal rings and tie it around my neck. It's an awful fine striker, says Sid, touching the bird wistfully. How about tonight I teach you how to use it, I suggest. He lights up at the promise of doing grown-up stuff combined with the promise that I'm not going anywhere. Yeah? Yeah. Oh, so wholesome. I ruffle his mop of hair so his curls go every which way. Quit, Sid laughs and bats my hand away. Now I've got to comb it again. Better get on it, I tell him. He runs off and I drop the striker down my collar, not ready to share it with the world, not on reaping day. I've got a few minutes to spare, so I head into town to trade. The air's turned heavy and still, promising a storm. My stomach clenches at the sight of the square, plastered with posters and crawling with heavily armed peacekeepers in their white uniforms. And I'm just thinking, man, we waste so much time on our phones, scrolling, social media, just watching reels. And here's Haymitch, he's about to go to the reaping, which can possibly change his life. And man, he's got a few minutes to spare, so he's like going into town to trade. How hardworking is that? Makes me want to work a bit harder too, because I think I take a lot of my free time for granted, and I'm not very grateful for it. I'm always thinking, I want more free time to waste. Lately, the theme has been no peace, gee, and the slogans bombard you from every side. No peace, no bread, no. Oh, so if you act up, there's going to be no bread, and if you act up, there's going to be no security. No peacekeepers, no peace. So, like, if you try to get rid of the peacekeepers, we're going to give you no peace. Ooh, some threats. No capital, no peace. So it's like, if you go against the capital, there's going to be no peace. So very thinly veiled threats. Hanging behind the temporary stage in front of the Justice Building is a huge banner of President Snow's face with the words, Pan Am's #1 peacekeeper. So it's like, yeah, it's a shame. It's like the Capitol has control of all the bread. It has control of all the security. It has control of like whether there's peace or not. It has control of like probably like all the money. It's like, it's a shame that this system, all the people just hand over everything they have to the Capitol for the good of everything. And yeah, that's rough. Yeah, they're left with like barely anything. At the back of the square, peacekeepers check in the reaping participants. As the line's still short, I go ahead and get that over with. The woman won't meet my eye, so I guess she's still capable of shame, or maybe it's just indifference. The apothecary shop has a flag of Pan Am in the window, which pisses me off. Still, this is where I'll get the best deal on my white liquor. Inside, the sharp odor of chemicals makes my nose twitch. In contrast, a faint sweet scent comes from a bunch of chamomile flowers resting in a jar, waiting to become tea and medicine. I know Burdock collected these in the woods. Of late, he's added wildcrafting to his game business. The place is deserted except for my classmate, Astrid March, who's arranging tiny bottles on a shelf behind the counter. A long blonde braid falls down her back, but the damp heat has brought out tendrils of hair that frame her perfect face. Astrid's the town beauty and rich by District 12 standards. I used to hold that against her, but she showed up one night in the scene alone to treat a neighbor woman who'd been whipped for back-talking a peacekeeper. She brought some ointment she'd concocted herself and slipped away, never mentioning payment. Oh, so she's a good person. Since then, she's who people turn to for help when a loved one goes under the lash. Oh, wow. I guess Astrid has more substance than her pack of snooty town friends suggests. Besides, Burdock's nuts about her, So I try to be nice, even though he's got as much chance with her as a mockingjay with a swan. Town girls don't marry scene boys, not unless something really goes haywire. Hey, you got any use for this? I place the white liquor on the counter. For cough syrup or some such? I'm sure I can find one. Astrid gives me a fair price and throws in a sprig of chamomile. For today, they say it's good luck. I slide the stem into a buttonhole. Who says? Burdock? She blushes a bit, and I wonder if I'm wrong about his chances. Ooh, she might be interested in Burdock. Maybe it was him. I can't recall. Well, we could use a little luck today. I glance at the flag in the window. Astrid drops her voice. We didn't want it there. The peacekeepers insisted. Oh, that's rough, being like forced to be supportive of the capital like that, and forced to be supportive of the society they're forced to like participate in. Or they'd what? Arrest the marches? Bust up their shop? Probably. Close them, get down for good? Yeah, probably. I feel bad I judged them earlier. No choice then. I nodded to the chamomile. You wear some too, okay? She gives me a sad smile and nods. I go next door to the Donner sweet shop and buy a little white paper bag of multicolored gumdrops. Lenore Dove's favorite. Aw, for us to share later. She calls them rainbow gumdrops and swears she can tell the flavors apart, although they all taste exactly the same. Marilee Donner, who's in my class, waits on me in a crisp pink dress and matching ribbons in her sandy hair. No one's going to arrest the Donners for looking shabby. Fortunately, Astrid paid me in cash because the Donners won't take scrip, which is what the Capitol pays the miners with. It's technically only good in the Capitol store. Oh my goodness, it's that kind of scam. But a lot of the merchants in town take it, and my pa gets plenty of it in the laundry business. Yeah, so stuff like this has actually happened in history where, like, let's say you are a miner somewhere or any kind of job, and they won't pay you like actual dollars or like real money. You'll live in like this little town right by your job, and they'll pay you in like like miner bucks, whatever they call it, and you can only use it in the store, and you can only use the miner bucks to like pay for your rent. So it's basically like you're a slave because they keep increasing the prices, and there's no like competition there, for like using your money elsewhere. You can't use it elsewhere. You have to use it at like the Capitol store. So yeah, the company basically owns you, and the company can decide where you shop, when you shop, and yeah, they can raise the prices whenever they want. So you can't save money because the Capitol bucks don't, nobody takes Capitol bucks anywhere else. So I know that weirdly enough, Walt Disney tried to do something similar where he wanted like a Walt Disney, like he wanted everybody who worked at Walt Disney, like who did the animations and who worked in the Walt Disneyland resorts, to like all live in this city. And it failed, thankfully, because everybody could see where that was going. So when you see stuff like that happening, it's no good, because the people in charge basically want everything from you. When I step outside, I smile for a second at the Donner's pretty candy label, thinking of meeting Lenore Dove in the woods. Then I see that it's time. The giant screens flanking the stage have lit up with the waving flag in honor of the Hunger Games. Oh, in honor of the Hunger Games. 50-some years ago, the districts rose up against our capital's oppression, kicking off a bloody civil war in Panem. We lost, and in punishment, every July 4th, oh no, each of the districts, and this is like set in America, that is tragic. And now it's like, oh no, alternate universe maybe happen in the future. July 4th turns into a horrible day. Each of the districts routinely has to send 2 tributes, 1 girl and 1 boy between the ages of 12 and 18, to fight to the death in an arena. The last kid standing gets crowned as the victor. The reaping is where they draw our names for the Hunger Games. 2 pens, 1 for the girls and 1 for the boys, have been clearly marked out with orange ropes. Traditionally, the 12-year-olds gather in the front, and the kids get older until you reach the 18-year-olds in the back. Attendance for the entire population is mandatory, but I know my mom will keep Sid at home until the last possible minute, so I don't bother looking for them. Since Lenore Dove's nowhere to be seen, I head to the section designated for 14 to 16-year-old boys, thinking about my odds. Today I have 20 slips of paper with my name in the reaping. Every kid automatically gets 1 each year, but I have an additional 3 because I always take on 3 tesserae to feed myself and my family members. Oh, tessera. A tessera gets you a ration of tinned oil and a sack of flour marked courtesy of the Capitol for 1 person, collectible each month at the Justice Building. In exchange, you have to put your name in the reaping and extra time for each tessera that year. Those entries stick with you and add up. 4 slips a year times 5 years, that's how I have 20. But to make things worse, since this year's the second quarter quell, making the 50th anniversary of the Hunger Games, each district has to send twice the usual number of kids. Okay, I'm starting to remember, like, the quarter quell, they usually create different rules. So I think so apparently the 50th quarter quell, they have twice as many kids, but the 75th quarter quell, that was when they brought back the previous winners of the Hunger Games back into the arena, because I don't think they had double the amount then. I figure for me, it's like having 40 slips on a regular year. Ooh, and I don't like those odds. The crowd thickens, but I can see one of the 12-year-olds up front trying to hide that he's crying. In 2 years, Sid will be there. I wonder whether it'll be me or Ma who sits him down beforehand and explains about his role in the reaping, how he has to look nice and keep his mouth shut and not cause any trouble. Even if the unthinkable happens and his name gets drawn, he's to suck it up, put on the bravest face he can muster, and climb onto that stage because resistance is not an option. Oof. The peacekeepers will drag him up there kicking and screaming if they have to, so he should try to go with some dignity. And always remember, whatever happens, his family will love him and be proud of him forever. And if Sid should ask, "But why do I have to do this?" we can only say, "Because this is the way things are." Oh, that's never a good answer. That's horrible. But that's tragic because, what else can they say? Lenore Dove would hate that last bit, but it's the truth. Happy birthday, someone bumps my shoulder, and there's Burdock in a frayed suit and our friend Blair, who's inherited a dress shirt 3 sizes too big from his older brother. Blair smacks a pack of roasted peanuts from the Capitol store against my chest. And may all your wishes come true. Thanks, I pocket the nuts and my gumdrops. You 2 didn't have to dress up for me. Well, we wanted your day to be special, says Blair. What kind of idiot gets born on reaping day anyhow? The kind that likes a challenge, says Burdock with appreciation. Just playing the hand I was dealt with, but you know what they say. Unlucky at cards, lucky in love. I arrange my chamomile. Hey, look what your girlfriend gave me, Birdie. Ooh. Our attention shifts to the girl's pen, where Astrid stands talking with Marilee and her identical twin sister, Maisily, who's the most stuck-up girl in town. Her friends know about you, Everdeen? Asked Blair. Nothing to know, says Burdock with a grin. Well, not yet anyway. The sound system crackles to life, sobering us up. Just then, I see Lenore Dove sidestep a peacekeeper and squeeze into the pen. She's looking fine in a roughly apple red dress she sometimes performs in, her hair pulled up with metal combs Tam Amber made her, fine and grim. A recording of the anthem blares over the square, rattling my teeth. Gem of Panem, mighty city. We're supposed to sing along, but instead we mumble whatever. Just keep our lips moving at the right time. Yep, okay, yeah, I've been there. The screens project images of the Capitol's power, armies of marching peacekeepers. Oh, so this is like an intimidation tactic. Airborne fleets of hovercraft, tanks parading through the wide avenues of the Capitol, up to the presidential mansion. Everything is clean and expensive and deadly. So this is basically just showing off like the Capitol and the higher ups and the higher ups in government, like their power, and being like, remember, don't cross us because look at all these tanks and hovercrafts I have. When the anthem ends, Mayor Allister takes the podium and reads the Treaty of Treason, which is basically the surrender terms for the war. Most of the people in District 12 weren't even alive then, but were sure here to pay the price. The mayor tries for a neutral tone, but her voice leaks disapproval in a way that guarantees she'll be replaced soon. Oh man, the decent mayors always are. So even having the smallest bit of disapproval in what the Capitol is doing can get you like sacked. I wonder what will happen to her. Like, will they kill her? Will she be banished? Next, fresh from the Capitol comes Drusilla Sickle, a plastic-faced woman who escorts our tributes to the Hunger Games each year. I have no idea how old Drusilla is, but she's been showing up in District 12 since the first quarter quell. Okay, so that must be year 25. Maybe she's around Hattie's age. It's hard to tell because she has a line of what looks like fancy thumbtacks encircling her face, pulling the skin back and pinning it into place. Wow, so she has like a facelift that can be like undone because she's got thumbtacks. It sounds like it can be removed, so that's interesting. Last year, each one was decorated with a tiny buzzsaw blade. Wow. Imagine someone's like plastic surgery gets so like crazy that you start decorating like where your face is pulled back. I can see that happening, weirdly enough. People do all sorts of weird stuff. You know, that's really creative though. This year, the number 50 seems to be the theme. As for clothes, she regularly struggled to incorporate two fashion trends, military and sassy, and the result is her current outfit, a lemon yellow officer's jacket with matching thigh-high boots and a tall hat with a visor brim. Feathers fan out from the top of the hat, making her look like a deranged daffodil. No one laughs though, because here she's the face of evil. Well, I'll laugh for them because I am in no danger of being raped. So I think the Hunger Games movie did a good idea to show the Capitol, the fashion. And I remember when the movies first came out, you know, the Capitol fashion just looked so ridiculous. And it's almost like the regular fashion took notes of like the Hunger Games supposed like absurd fashion. And they're like, oh, that's a good idea, that's a good idea. And then people started like mimicking it, like seriously. So that was kind of funny to see. Two peacekeepers set giant glass balls holding the tribute entries on either side of the podium. Ladies first, says Drusilla, dipping her hand into the ball on the right and extracting a single slip of paper. And the lucky girl is, she pauses for effect, twirling the name in her fingers, smirking before driving in the knife. Ooh, Luella McCoy. So man, yeah, no empathy, but if she shows empathy, she'll be sacked or killed just like the mayor. So you have to, it's like, man, this is rough. It's like forced positivity is rough. It's like you can't say what's on your mind. So you don't even know who you can trust, because nobody can be truthful about what they actually believe or what they think, because only one way is allowed. And that's kind of scary. I feel sick. Luella McCoy lives 3 houses down from me, and a smarter, spunkier 13-year-old doesn't exist. An angry murmur ripples through the crowd, but I can feel Blair and Burdock tensing up beside me as Luella climbs the steps onto the stage, flipping her black pigtails over her shoulders and scowling hard as she tries to look tough. And this year, ladies second as well. Joining Luella will be... Drusilla's hand stirs the slips in the ball and fishes out another name. Maceley Donner. Oh no, Maceley. My eyes find Lenore Dove's, and all I can think of, it's not you. Oh, at least not for another year. You're safe. Oh, poor Maceley though, but I can understand his concern. He's happy that his girlfriend isn't the one that's picked. The crowd's reacting again, but more in surprise than anger, because Maceley is a purebred town girl and about as highfalutin as they come. What with the Donners being merchants and the general consensus being that her pa will be tapped to succeed Mayor Allister, town kids are rarely tributes because they don't generally have tesserae like those in the scene. In the girl's pen, Maceley's gripping Astrid's hand, while a weeping merrily embraces her, their 3 blonde heads pressed in a tight knot. Then Maceley carefully disengages herself and smooths her dress, which is identical to her twin's pink one, only a shade of lavender. She pretty much always has her nose in the air, but she holds it extra high as she walks to the stage. Now it's the boys' turn. I brace myself, preparing for the worst, as Drusilla plucks a paper from the ball on the left, and the first gentleman who gets to accompany the ladies is Wyatt Callow. I haven't seen Wyatt Callow around in school for a while, which probably means he hit 18 and started in the mines. Oh no, he almost made it out. I don't really know him. He lives on the other side of the scene and keeps his head down. I hate myself for the relief I feel watching him approach the stage, his measured steps and vacant expression revealing nothing. I feel bad for him too. Wyatt has to be closing in on his 19th birthday. Oh, a big deal in the districts because that's when you age out of the reaping. Oh, that's tragic. As Drusilla's hand drives back into the ball, it seems too much to hope that both Lenore Dove and I will escape this terror, that in a few hours we'll be far away from the square, locked in each other's arms in the cool shade of the woods. I suck in my breath, preparing for my death sentence. Drusilla peers at the final name. Oh, and the boy number 2 is Woodbine Chance. It's not Hamish? I guess he goes another year? An involuntary huff escapes my lips, echoed by several boys around me. Lenore Dove looks over, tries to smile, but can't help shifting her attention to the latest victim. Woodbine's the youngest and handsomest of those crazy Chance boys. They all get so wild when they drink that Hattie won't sell them white liquor for fear it will bring down the peacekeepers, so they have to buy it from old Baxum Pie, who has no scruples and sells rot gut to anyone with enough coin. If the Abernathys give off a whiff of sedition, the Chances reek of it, and they've lost more family members to the rope than I can keep track of. Ooh. Rumor has it Lenore Dove might be related to them on her pa's side. They seem awfully fond of her, even if it's not official. One way or another, there's a connection there that Clerk Carmine discourages. I can see Woodbine, who's a few rows ahead of me, projected up on the screen. He makes as if to follow Wyatt, but then his gray eyes flash defiantly, and he whips around and sprints for an alley. Is he going to get shot, and then they have to, get a second guy? So, okay, let's find out. His kinfolk shout encouragement. You know what? you know what? If you're gonna die anyway, I think it's like a really high chance of dying. Go for it, my guy. Just go for it. I'd be cheering too. Well, maybe not, because I'm kind of like a scaredy cat. I'd be like silently cheering him on and hoping no peacekeeper sees the delight in my eyes. His kinfolk shout encouragement, and bodies instinctively block the peacekeepers. Oh, they're helping him. They're bros. Just when I'm thinking he might make it, all those chance kids run like greased lightning. A shot rings out from the Justice Building rooftop, and the back of Woodbride's head explodes. Dude, yeah, they're gonna have to get a third guy, and it's gonna be Hamish. Oh, wow. So we see what happens when you try to run. But you know what? It was a quick death. And it's, man, I'm thinking if I was in that situation, I would prefer this death than participating in the Hunger Games. But at the same time, I know that fear would keep me in place. Like just being realistic, like just being totally honest. Fear would keep me in place, and I'd go along with it, just in hopes. There's a small hope that I'd be able to win, even though I know I wouldn't be able to. Yeah, I know that's not like cool. That's not a proud thing to admit, but I know myself well enough that when faced with violence, you know, I'm not exactly like, yeah, do whatever you want. I'm not scared of anything or anybody, because I am. So, and like knowing that about myself does help me empathize more with the people who do go along with this. Like all the other kids who are reaped, all the other people who are forced by the Capitol to stand by and watch this happen. Yeah, so that, even though like when you're young and you learn like atrocities in history, it's really, really easy to think, well, I'm special. I'm unlike anyone else in history, and I would have done the right thing all the time. I would have stood up for, you know, the good guys. I would have done this. I would have done that. When push comes to shove and you are actually in that kind of situation, and maybe it's because I have encountered a couple rough situations that I do know myself. But when you're young, you don't really know yourself totally, because you haven't gone through a lot of extreme situations. And even if you have been in extreme situations and it's regular, that kind of becomes your normal, and you start to become numb to things. So, and you start to think, oh yeah, this is normal, so it's no use getting riled up about it because it's normal. I see it all the time. And it does take until you're older and you do get more experiences that you start to realize things about yourself, about the world, about humanity itself, and you start to, it's like your empathy grows, because you start to understand people that you might not be able to understand as well when you're like a little kid. When you're a little kid, you tend to think a little more in black and white, like this is good, this is bad, this person's good, this person's bad, this behavior of mine is good or all bad, all good, all bad, all good, all bad, all the way down. So I think that's why in a lot of kids shows, the villains are like evil. When they're evil, they're evil. There's like less gray area. And you see in teen drama and teen movies and in teen shows, the evil people they're a little more well-rounded. And then when you get into the adult books, like the really heavy-hitting adult books, not like adult as in like anything about like sex or anything, but like the adult fiction and the adult nonfiction that really heavily delves into humanity, you see that we are all shades of gray. Nobody is all good. And you start to strip away your own ego and realize the things I do that are good, I'm 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 sometimes doing good things to feel good about myself, to say, oh, I've donated to this charity, this socially accepted charity. I volunteered at this generally socially acceptable, charity or cause. Praise me. Tell me what a good person I am. Because if you generally just do it just because you feel that it should be done, you would tell absolutely nobody, like nobody, and you kind of keep it a secret because you don't want to inflame your ego. And yeah, it's like once you become an adult, stuff like this starts happening to you, and you get into these situations and you really dive deep, stripping away the ego, really noticing why you do certain things. Even things you like previously think, when you were a little kid, you think it's not that deep, it's not that deep, it's not that deep. But when you're like a teenager, you think everything is deep. Oh, I'm such a deep thinker. But when you're an adult, you tend to you have more like nuance in your life. So the teen phase, when you're like, oh, everything is deep. I'm so deep. I'm such a deep thinker. I think deeper than like all this shallowness in society. That is a good phase to have because it does like strengthen new muscles in thinking more deeply into why you and why other people are doing such and such, why other people and why you believe such and such. And yeah, it's all part of the growing process. And I think the little kid, black and white thinking, like, oh, this is an evil villain, this person is against this, so that makes them 100% evil and worthy of like being humiliated and like torn down from all their friends in power, like like you see evil getting their comeuppance. I think that might be a good baseline to have, where you're able to discern what is beneficial and what is bad for yourself and for the people around you. But yeah, that is like a super shallow understanding. So as you grow, you add on extra layers, and as you grow on extra layers, you start to understand deep within each of the layers. So things get simultaneously thicker and deeper, and you're able to understand things better. So I like how Suzanne Collins writes, because she has the teenage, it like stories like this really appeals to teenagers because it has a bit of extra depth, but it's not too hard to understand. Like they still have the, oh, evil, capital, totally evil, totally corrupt, versus good guys, underdogs rising up from District 12, yay. Always, the little kid mentality of always encourage the underdog, always. The underdog is always good. The underdog is always good. So, and we're like, it's like growing up, that lesson, the underdog is always good. That lesson was just drilled into my head from like so many novels, so many TV shows, so many movies. But these books, like the way she writes the villains, and like the way she wrote President Snow, and the way she wrote President Coin, you can see little bits of layers of the adult thinking. After you've had all that experience, you start to realize, the villains, and the people who are supposed to be completely evil, completely bad, completely valid to just trash and kill and humiliate, and the good guys are good for doing so. There's still layers of that adult way of seeing the world through experience, realizing every single one of us in different ways have pieces of that evil within us. Every single one of us wants power and control, and it can come out in different ways. You can want power and control over people who you don't agree with, and you feel like, oh, if only I can like destroy the life of like this one person who's just totally evil, if only I can like just show them and humiliate them, and come up, give them their comeuppance, they will learn their lesson, they will turn good as in they will agree with me. And I've seen that type of mentality in a lot of teenagers, and I think growing up it has disturbed me a little bit, but I can't say, oh, I have like none of that, because I know I have stayed up late at night worrying about some friends who I believe are doing some not so great things, and it's like I feel like worrying about them will somehow control the situation. If I just think about it a whole bunch, that'll somehow like alter the universe to all my worrying energy will just be like thrown into the universe, and somehow that will affect something and change their behavior and turn them around to good. And man, it never happens. I mean, it might happen on coincidence every now and then, but for the most part, people are going to do whatever they want to do, whether you disagree with them or not. And everybody has a different way of looking at things based off of their individual, like growing up process, and who they've encountered and what they've seen. But yeah, I really like how she writes this book, because it's understandable to many different ages. The little kids can understand the, oh, capital all evil, underdogs all good. The teenagers, they see a little bit more nuance, just a little bit. And the adults, they recognize some things written in here, like the capital store and the capital bucks. They recognize that throughout history, and sometimes seen that in their own lives, and they're like, yeah, we know that's real. This isn't just made up from Suzanne Collins. She's taking pieces of history and squishing them all together into like this conglomerate that makes it realistic that this might happen, and this could happen, and this could be starting to form in this country. So it makes it a little scary, because it's like, oh man, stuff like this can happen. But the higher ups are the ones with the most power and the most resources, and they decide who gets what and when. They're the ones that make the redistribution laws. They're the ones that make the laws about where the money's coming from, how much money we give them, how much money we give the higher ups. So yeah, if you have corrupt people at the top, yeah, things can get dark pretty fast. And we've seen that throughout history. Like, it can get dark fast. And most of the time people will slide into that with good intentions, totally good intentions. But I don't think there's many people who are wise enough to understand how people are, take into account human nature. We're not all good, but we're not all bad. And that's kind of like a difficult, tricky situation to get through. So, yeah, it looks like Haymitch is gonna be number 3, since this guy unfortunately died. But at least he died quickly. Okay, the screens go dark, for a second, and then the flag reappears. Obviously, they don't want the rest of the country to witness the disorder here in District 12. The square erupts as some people make for the side streets and some rush to help Woodbine, even though he's long past helping. Oh. The peacekeepers keep firing, mostly as a warning, but hitting a few unfortunates, at the edge of the crowd. I don't know which way to go. Do I find Sid and Ma, get Lenore Dove off the square, just run for cover? Who did this? Who did this? Demands Drusilla. A bewildered young peacekeeper gets pushed to the edge of the roof, of the Justice Building. You imbecile, Drusilla berates him from below. You couldn't wait until he was in the alley? Look at this mess. Oh man, Drusilla's got some fire in her. It's a mess, all right. I catch sight of Ma and Sid at the edge of the crowd and take a step their way when a rough male voice booms over the sound system. On the ground, everybody, now. Automatically, I fall on my knees and assume the position, hands linked behind my neck, forehead pressed to the sooty bricks of the square. Out of the corner of my eye, I see almost everybody around me follow suit. But Otho Millark, that's from Peeta's family, a big lug of a guy whose folks own the bakery, seems bewildered. His meaty hands dangle loosely at his sides and his feet shuffle back and forth, and then I notice his blonde hair is plastered with someone's blood. Burdock punches him hard in the back of his knee, and it's enough to get him down on the ground and out of the line of fire. Oh wow, Burdock's saved his life. I guess Peeta's relative, was he just stunned? Yeah, he's bewildered. Yeah, so he's just standing stunned, so he couldn't get on the ground. Drusilla's hot mic bounces her voice around the square as she screams at her team. We've got 5 minutes, a 5-minute delay, and then we'll have to finish this live. Get rid of the bloody ones. Oof, no empathy at all. Or she could be scared of the Capitol too. Even if she doesn't like this, she could be terrified that she could be blamed for what happened, and blamed if she didn't clean this up fast and getting onto the reaping for the television show. For the first time, I understand that when they show the reaping live, it isn't really live. There must be a 5-minute hold on the broadcast in case something like this happens. What do they what do they fill for the time? A commercial break? Peacekeepers' boots tramp through the audience as the soldiers grab anyone marked with gore, including Otho, and then push them into the nearby shops to conceal them. We need another boy. That dead one's no good. Oh man, says Drusilla, clunking down the steps into the square. There's a high-pitched keening, followed by peacekeepers barking orders. Then I hear Lenore Dove's voice, and my head shoots up like I don't control it. She's trying to help Woodbine's Ma, who's lashed onto his hand as a pair of peacekeepers attempts to carry him away. Lenore Dove's tugging on one of the soldiers' arms, begging them to please let his Ma have him. Just let her see him for 1 minute, but they don't seem to have a minute. This will not end well. Should I get in there, pull Lenore Dove away, or will I only make the situation worse? I feel like my knees are glued to the ground. What's the problem here? There, I hear Drusilla say, get that body off the square. A squad of 4 more peacekeepers heads over. Having Woodbine referred to as a body sets his Ma off. She begins to shriek, flinging her arms around his chest, trying to pull her son away from the soldiers. Lenore Dove joins her, grabbing hold of Woodbine's legs to help free him. Ma's going to lay into me for intervening, but I just can't grovel on the ground while Lenore Dove's in danger. I push myself up and run toward her, hoping to get her to let Woodbine loose. I spy one of the incoming peacekeepers raising his rifle to knock her out. Stop! I leap in to shield her, just in time to intercept the rifle butt that slams against my temple. Pain explodes in my head, as jagged lights cuts through my vision. I don't even make it to the ground before iron hands lock on my upper arms and haul me forward, my nose inches from the bricks. I'm dropped flat on my face before a pair of yellow boots. The tip of one lifts my chin before letting it bang back on the ground. Well, I think we just found our replacement. No, that's not fair. Lenore Dove's behind me, pleading, "Don't take him. It wasn't his fault. It was mine. Punish me." "Oh, just shoot that girl, would you?" says Drusilla. You know what? I don't think she's scared of the Capitol. I think she's just like this. She's got all this power. She's looking down on, all the people of District 12. Yeah, she's kind of got like an self-importance problem going on, because she sees like the people below her as expendable. A nearby peacekeeper trains his rifle on Lenore Dove. And that is something that happens to people if they start to dehumanize people that might be different from them. If you start seeing people as objects or less than human because of any reason whatsoever, it can start screwing up your head. And Drusilla probably thinks of herself as a really good person because, people like that often do. It is really hard to do self-reflection. So, yeah, she's the type to just think of herself as just this wonderful person because she's nice to her friends. And, even bad people are nice to their friends. It's really easy to be nice to people who are nice to you. It really shows the character of a person how you treat people who are different than you, and how you treat people who you don't agree with, or who you feel like could be beneath you in any way. And nobody is beneath anyone else at the end of the day, because we're all human. We all have our issues. Some people have more issues than others, but that's often how they're raised, or circumstances, or it could just be based off of their own decisions that they've made throughout life that started out in a certain way, and they thought it was fine, or they thought they could get away with a little something, and then it gets a little worse, and then it gets a little worse, until you're like Drusilla, and you're like kind of like seeing people as inhuman objects to crush under your feet because, oh, Drusilla's so much more important to all these people. A nearby peacekeeper trains his rifle on Lenore Dove, and Drusilla snorts in exasperation. "Not here. We've got enough blood to clean up. Find a discreet location, can't you?" Is she gonna die? Oh no. Because she's not a main character and we don't see her later. Oh no. As the soldier takes a step towards Lenore Dove, a guy in a violet jumpsuit appears, laying a hand on his elbow. "Hold it. If I could, Drusilla, I'd love to keep her for the tearful goodbye. The audience eats that stuff up." Oh my gosh, it's all for the entertainment. It's all for the cameras and the storylines, the fake made up storylines that are it's so upsetting to see stuff like this. The audience eats that stuff up. And the audience, all they care about is feeling sad and feeling good about being sad because, oh, I'm such a good person to be feeling bad if somebody dies, and oh, isn't this a tragedy? Isn't this all entertainment? Isn't this all entertaining? And people are always trying to get that, dopamine hit, feeling something, whether it's good or bad, just feeling anything for entertainment, feeling bad for entertainment, feeling sad for entertainment, feeling whatever for entertainment, feeling shocked for entertainment. It's all for entertainment, and it's really disturbing how much our society is based off of that. Like whatever is shown, whatever gets the audience's reaction, and whatever gets the more eyeballs on things And whatever gets more people to watch longer, because things are emotionally charged, that just like runs society, and it's actually really highly disturbing. And yeah, I just feel like not many people question it because it is so normal. It's so normal, and we're always trying to get like high off of these emotions, off of horrible things that are happening, and like things that make us look down on people or feel angry or upset or sad or makes us cry and divide us further. It's like it's all entertainment. It's all for money and attention. And the Hunger Games is based off of that too. The audience eats that stuff up. And as you always remind us, it's a challenge to get them to even notice 12. Yeah, because they see 12 as a little more boring. It's not as cool. But yeah, they have all this drama. And you see that in all the books, where Peeta tries, Peeta realizes, Peeta's like a little smarty. He realizes that that kind of stuff is what people want and will help him. Where it's like, oh yeah, Katniss is pregnant, basically. Ooh, the drama. Oh, she's gonna die, but she's pregnant, even though it was a total lie. He understands this. He understood the assignment, and with Lucy Gray Bard, she was all about the spectacle and the singing. She wasn't on board at first, but Snow understood the assignment, so he was on board. But yeah, it looks like whoever this guy in the purple jumpsuit is, he's doing that angle as well. Oh, Plutarch. That name sounds familiar. Fine, Plutarch. Whatever. Just get the rest of them up. Up. On your feet, you district pigs. As they lifted me, I noticed Drusilla has a riding crop clipped to the side of one boot and wonder if it's just decorative. It's probably not. Her dead fish breath hits my face. Play this right or I'll shoot you myself. Man, she's got problems. Hey, Mitch, I hear Lenore Dove cry. Aw. I start to respond, but Drusilla clamps onto my face with her long fingers, and she can watch. Oh no. Plutarch gestures to one of the crew. Get a camera on that girl, would you, Cassia? He pursues Drusilla. We've got footage of the peacekeepers controlling the crowd. It could be an opportunity to hit the no peacekeeper, no peace angle. Oh man. I don't have time, Plutarch. I barely have time to pull off the status quo. Get the first boy. What was his name? See, they're like nothing to her. Wyatt Callow, says Plutarch. Get Wyatt Callow back in the pen. Drusilla smacks her forehead. No, she thinks for a moment. Yes, I'll call them both. It will be smoother. It will cost you another 30 seconds. Then let's get going, she points at me. What's your name? My name sounds alien as it leaves my lips. Haymitch Abernathy. Haymitch Abernathy, she repeats. Oh, Abernanny, she repeats. Haymitch Abernathy, I correct her. She turns to Plutarch in vexation. It's too long. He scribbles on his clipboard pad and rips off a strip of paper. She takes it and reads, Wyatt Callow and Haymitch Abernathy. Wyatt Callow and Haymitch Abernathy. Why, you're the professional, Plutarch says. Better take your place. I'll position them. As Drusilla hurries up the steps, he takes my elbow and whispers, Don't be stupid, kid. She'll kill you with a snap if you mess up again. So yeah, this is so unfair. The rules are, your name has to be drawn. But just because Haymitch did like one little thing to try to help his girlfriend, it's like, yeah, we're just gonna skip the rules and do whatever the people more in charge and who have more power, they feel like they can get away with it. And unfortunately, they can get away with it because they're doing it now. I don't know if he means with a snap of her fingers or some extra horrible snappy way to die. Either way, I don't want to die with a snap. Plutarch leads me to a spot closer to the stage. This'll do, just stay here, and when Drusilla calls your name, you calmly walk up on stage, okay? And it's so unfortunate, like everybody's seeing this and they can't say anything. Or they might be killed. They might be the next person whose head explodes. Or they might be targeted to like be reaped next year by like accident, you know? I try to nod. My head throbs and my thoughts tumble around like rocks in a tin can. What just happened? What's happening now? Somewhere inside me, I know I'm a tribute in the Hunger Games. In a few days, I'll die in the arena. I know all this, but it's like it's happening to someone else while I watch from a distance. The remaining members of the audience have regained their feet, but not their composure. People whisper urgently to their neighbors, trying to figure out what's going on. Live in 30, someone says over the speakers. 29, 28, 27. Shut up, Drusilla yells at the crowd as a makeup person puffs some powder on her sweaty face. Shut up or we'll kill every last one of you. As if to emphasize this, a peacekeeper next to her fires a spray of bullets into the air and a hovercraft passes right over the square. It gets quiet fast and I can hear my blood pounding in my ears. I have an impulse to flee like Woodbine did, but remember the look of his brains hanging out of his skull. 10, 9, 8. Yeah, and we always like to think, oh yeah, I can be a hero and speak up and like do something. But when you don't have, when you don't have any guns, you don't have any weapons to combat the people with the guns and the weapons, and knowing like there's a great chance that you'll just throw your life away just for saying something, just to say anything, like do anything. They'll just murder you at the snap of a finger and they can get away with it. And yeah, that is rough. Because when you're young, you think, oh yeah, when I grow up, I'm gonna be so super strong and I'll be like in the movies and be able to like get away because of plot. But real life doesn't have plot. Life is dangerous and life is very fragile as well. Everyone on stage has returned to their pre-shooting places. Luella and Macely, the peacekeepers, and Drusilla, who quickly tears the paper Plutarch gave her in two and positions the slip in the pile in the glass ball. I reach for Burdock and Blair to steady myself, but of course they're not there. Just a couple of younger kids who are giving me plenty of room. And if you have like kids or you're of age to be in the Hunger Games, seeing this like Haymitch become the other tribute, it can probably make them think, oh phew, as long as my son isn't a tribute, or as long as I'm not a tribute, if anyone who speaks up can become a tribute. So that's there's a lot of deterrent here to like stay quiet and just let this happen, even though it's so unfair. 3, 2, 1, and we're live. Drusilla pretends to draw a name, and the first gentleman who gets to accompany the ladies is Wyatt Callow. In some strange replay, I watch Wyatt, as impassive as before, go by and obediently take his place on the stage. Drusilla's hand hovers over the ball, then removes a slip with surgical precision. And our second boy will be Haymitch Abernathy. I just stand there. What if he told her like a completely bogus name? Like what then? Then he's like, that's not my name. Of course, maybe the Capitol will just change his name. They're like, okay, you're Bubba Bob now, since you said your name is Bubba Bob. It's not like anyone watching, except people in District 12, will know what his real name is. So, yeah, more tragedy. I just stand there in case this is a bad dream, and I'm about to wake up in my own bed. Everything's all wrong. Minutes ago, I dodged this bullet. I was headed home, then to the woods, safe for another year. Hey, Mitch, Drusilla repeats, looking straight at me. My face fills the screen over the stage. My feet begin to move. I see them cut to Lenore Dove, who has a hand pressed against her mouth. She isn't crying, so Plutarch won't get his tearful goodbye. Not from her and not from me. They will not use our tears for their entertainment. Oh man, good for them, but that must be really tough to hold that in. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the District 12 tributes of the 50th Hunger Games. Drusilla acknowledges us, and may the odds be ever in your favor. She begins to clap, and I hear a huge audience response over the speakers, although I can only see a handful of people applauding in 12. I locate Lenore Dove in the crowd, and we lock eyes, desperation setting in. For a moment, everything else peels away, and there's only us. She lowers her hand and presses it to her heart as her lips form the words silently, I love you like all fire. I mouth back, you too. Cannons break the spell. Confetti showers down on me, on the stage, on the whole square. I lose sight of her in the fluttering bits of bright paper. Drusilla spreads her arms wide. Happy second quarter quell, everybody. And we're out, says the voice on the speaker. The broadcast has moved on to the District 11 reaping. The canned applause cuts off, and Drusilla lets out a groan, dramatically slumping against the podium. You know, I kind of assumed that they started at District 1, so the people watching are more fresh. And I always assumed that District 12, they showed their broadcast last, so like after all the parties are over, you know, people are all like partied out watching their stupid like death entertainment video. Yeah, but it sounds like District 12 is the first. But District 12 has like the least interest, so I don't know, maybe it's a situation where it's like people view it as like the opening act or something, where it's not as important. The Capital TV crew gives a loud cheer as Plutarch appears from the side of the stage shouting, Brilliant, bravo everybody, absolutely seamless, Drusilla. Drusilla recovers and yanks off her daffodil hat by the chin strap. I have no idea how I just did that. Yeah, it's all about you, Drusilla. She pulls a pack of cigarettes from her boot and lights up, exhaling the smoke through her nose like it's a chimney. Well, it's a great story for dinner parties. One of the assistants appears with a tray of glasses filled with a pale liquid. He accidentally offers one to me. Champagne? Before he realizes his mistakes. Whoops, none for the children. Drusilla grabs a glass and notices the people of District 12 standing mute and miserable while the last bits of confetti drift down on them. Well, what are they staring at, filthy beasts? Go home, all of you. She addresses a peacekeeper. Get them out of here before their smell gets in my hair. She sniffs a lock of her hair and grimaces. Too late. The peacekeeper gives a signal and the soldiers begin pushing the crowd back. While I see Burdock and Blair put up a struggle, most people rush to the side streets, only too happy to escape the ordeal of the reaping, to hurry home, embrace their children, and for those who patronize Hattie's stall, get good and drunk. I'm packed by the sight of a District 12 peacekeeper restraining Lenore Dove. Why didn't I step in sooner? Why did I wait until I had no choice but to defy that soldier? Because you just watched some dude's head explode, and you knew that could happen to you at any second. Was I feeling afraid, confused, or just powerless in the face of those white uniforms? Yeah, I mean, you've been told your entire life how powerful the Capitol is, and you just watched a video of the tanks and the hovercrafts flying and rolling around the Capitol and no peace. So, I mean, it's totally understandable. Now we're both doomed. The peacekeepers bringing out cuffs when Clerk Carmine and Tam Amber swoop in. They talk to him fast and low, and I think some money changes hands. To my relief, the peacekeeper glances around, releases her, and walks off. Lenore Dove makes for me, but her uncles hustle her down a side street. Oh. The other luckless loved ones of this year's tributes remain behind. Oh, and Hamish, he doesn't have anyone to like bribe the higher ups off. Mr. Donner runs up on the stage with a fistful of cash, hoping to somehow bail Maisily out, while his wife and Marilee huddle near their storefront. Don't, Papa! Aw, Maisily cries, but her father keeps waving the money in people's faces. There's a family one judged to be the Callows, where a woman weeps hysterically, and the menfolk have come to blows. You jinxed him, one curses another. This is on you. Oh no. Our neighbors, the McCoys, have their arms wrapped around Ma, who's barely able to stand, sits hanging on her hand, pulling her forward as she hollers, "Hey, Mitch, hey, Mitch!" I'm already so homesick I could die. I know I need to be strong, but the sight of them totals me. How will they manage without me? What's supposed to happen next is that tributes go into the Justice Building for a final farewell to their families and friends. I've done this once before. My ma and pa took me when Saoirse Whitcomb, the daughter of pa's old crew boss, got reaped. She'd been orphaned that year when her pa, Lyle, died of black lung. Ma told the peacekeepers we were kin, and they took us to a sitting room with a lot of scratchy furniture that needed dusting. I think we were her only visitors. I know I should wait for the official goodbye time, but the only thing that matters now is to hug Ma instead. With Mr. Donner and Maisily making a ruckus, I get to the edge of the stage, crouch down, and reach for them as they run to me. None of that, I'm yanked backward by a peacekeeper as Drusilla continues. No goodbyes for these people. They've lost that privilege after that outrageous display today. Take them straight to the train, and let's get out of this stinkhole. Oh man, they can't even say goodbye to their families. A pair of peacekeepers tosses Mr. Donner off the stage. Mid-air, he loses his grip on his money, which floats down and mingles with the confetti on the ground. Then they pull out handcuffs. Luella's been holding it together, but now she looks at me, her eyes wide with fright. I lay my hand on her shoulder to steady her, but as the cold metal touches her skin, she lets out a small squeak like a baby animal in a trap. At the sound, the families surge forward, desperate to reclaim us. The peacekeepers hold them back as Plutarch speaks up. I don't mean to be a pain, Drusilla, but I'm really low on reaction shots for the recap. Can't I snag a few? If you must. But if you're not on the train in 15, you can walk home, says Drusilla. I owe you, Plutarch does a quick assessment of our families and points to me and Luella. Leave me this and this. The peacekeepers steer Maisily and Wyatt into the Justice Building, beating back their relatives with batons when they try to follow. Somehow, Marilee slips by them, and for a moment, the Donner twins become one, arms locked around each other's necks, foreheads, noses pressed together, a mirror image of the peacekeepers tear in two. I see Wyatt give a final look to the hysterical Callow woman before marching through the door. Luella and I rush for our folks, but Plutarch intervenes. Let's get the footage. The crew sweeps an area in front of the shops. I got some moisture on the page. The crew sweeps an area in front of the shops clear of confetti. A cameraman positions himself while Plutarch poses Luella's parents and her half-dozen brothers and sisters in front of the bakery. Wait, if you were in the reaping, get out of the picture. Two of the kids move out of range of the camera. Good, he says. Very nice. Now what I need you to do is to react exactly the way you did when you heard them call Luella's name. Oh my God, it's so manufactured. In 3, 2, 1, action. The McCoy family stares at him numbly. And cut, Plutarch crosses to the McCoys. Sorry, obviously I wasn't clear. When you heard them call Luella, it was a big shock, right? Oh no, maybe you gasped or cried out her name. Anyway, you did something, and now I need you to do the same thing for the camera, okay? He backs up. So in 3, 2, 1, action. If anything, the McCoys are more stony-faced than before. It's not confusion. It's a blanket refusal to put on a show for the Capitol. Cut, Plutarch rubs his eye and sighs. Take the girl to the train. Peacekeepers whisk Luella into the Justice Building as the McCoys finally crack, crying out her name in anguish. Plutarch motions to the crew to film their reaction. When the McCoys realize he got their distress on tape, they're infuriated, but the peacekeepers just muscle them off the square. Plutarch turns to Ma and Sid. Listen, I know this isn't easy, but I think we can help each other out. If I can get a usable reaction shot from you, I can give you a minute with Hamish. We clear? I see Sid's eye. Oh my gosh, he's gonna use the poor kid for content. I see Sid's eyes flicker skyward as there's a low rumble of thunder, which feels like a warning. I look at my Ma's pale face, my brother's trembling lips. The words spill out of my mouth unbidden. Don't do it, Ma. But Ma overrules me and addresses Plutarch. No, I'll do it. We'll both do it. If you let us hold him one more time. Deal, Plutarch positions them side by side, but Ma moves behind Sid and wraps her arms around him. Nice, I like it. Okay, so it's the middle of the reaping. Drusilla is picking the boys. She's just said Hamish Abernathy. And 3, 2, 1, action. Ma gasps and Sid, confused, as no doubt he was at the time, cranes his head around to look at her. Cut, that was terrific. Can we try it once more? Oh gosh. And this time, maybe make the gasp a little louder. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. But it isn't once. Plutarch keeps calling for more dramatic responses. Call out his name. Hide your face in her dress. Can you break into tears? Until Sid's crying for real and my Ma looks ready to pass out. Stop it, I burst out. That's enough. You've got enough. The walkie-talkie on his belt crackles, and I hear Drusilla's impatient voice. Yeah, this kind of... Man, this is rough. Like, what people do for content, what people do for entertainment, what people do to feel something, like what people to do to be like, oh, I'm so empathetic, feeling something, entertainment, it's just so saturated in our society, you know, and so much of it is manufactured. And even though the feelings it creates in people are real, it's like, man, we just go look for drama. We look for things to be upset about. And like, we are drawn to this as a society and as people. And it is really disturbing. You could see how people can like take advantage of that and manipulate that and twist it into something else. Like, I'm reminded of the YouTuber lady who had a son and their dog died, and she accidentally like left in the unedited footage where she's telling the little kid, you know, oh, put your hand up like this and cry, you know, you're not crying hard enough. And the kid's like, and the mom's like, oh, you don't look sad enough. And the kid's like, but I am sad, you know, our dog just died, I'm sad. But yeah, it's so manufactured. Even if part of it is real, it is really disturbing what people will put together and create just for content, just for that propaganda, to feel something, to get more eyes on things, to get more time from people. Yeah, it's just, and I don't know how we can fix it because it's so ingrained, and it's hard to stop, you know? The walkie-talkie on his belt crackles, and I hear Drusilla's impatient voice. Where are you, Plutarch? Just wrapping up. There in 5, Plutarch waves Ma and Sid in my direction, and they rush into my arms. You've got 2 minutes. I crush them against me for what I know is the last time. But time's a-wasting, and we are not a wasteful family. Take this, I empty the contents of my pockets into their hands, money and peanuts into Ma's, knife and the white sack of gumdrops into Sid's, bequeathing them the remains of my life in 12. Sid raises the gumdrops. For Lenore Dove? Yeah, you see she gets them, okay, I say. Sid's voice is hoarse with tears, but determined. She'll get them. I know she will, because I can always depend on you. I kneel in front of my little brother and hold out my sleeve like I did when he was tiny, so he can wipe his nose on it. You're the man of the house now. If you were some other kid, I'd be worried, but I know you can handle it. Sid starts to shake his head. You're twice as smart as me and 10 times as brave. You can do this, okay? Okay? He nods and I muss his hair. Then I rise and hug my mother. You can too, Ma. I love you, son, she whispers. I love you too, I say. Through the static of Plutarch's walkie-talkie, I hear Drusilla's impatient voice. Plutarch, don't think I won't leave without you. Got to go, people, Plutarch says. Drusilla waits for no man. The peacekeepers move in to separate us, but Ma and Sid hold tight. You remember what your pa said to the Whitecomb child, Ma says urgently. It still goes. What? You remember what your pa said to the Whitecomb child. It still goes. Okay, there's going to be an explanation here. I flash back to the Justice Building and the weeping girl and the sickly scent of decomposing flowers that pervaded the place. Pa is talking to Sarshi, and he's telling her, don't let them use you, Sarshi. Don't. Oh. Plutarch, screeches Drusilla. Plutarch, heavens be. Peacekeepers rip us apart. I'm lifted off my feet as Sid begs, please don't take my brother. Please don't take him. We need him. I can't help it. I should be a good example, but I struggle to get free. It's okay, Sid. It's going to be a jolt of electricity. Did they zap him? Racks my body and I go limp. I can track the heels of my boots bouncing up the stairs over the carpets of the Justice Building, through the gravel on the drive behind it. In the car, I let them cuff me without objecting. My brain's fuzzy, but I know I won't be zapped again. Wobbly-legged, I climb the metal steps to the train, where I'm tossed into some compartment with a single barred window. I press my face against the glass, but there's nothing to see but a grimy coal car. For all Drusilla's whining, we go nowhere for an hour. The sky blackens and the storm breaks. Hail clatters against my window, followed by sheets of rain. By the time the wheels of the train begin to turn, my head has cleared. I try to memorize every fleeting image of 12. The lightning illuminating the dingy warehouses, the water streaming down the slag heaps, and the glow of the green hills. That's when I see Lenore Dove. She's up on a ridge, her red dress plastered to her body, one hand clutching the bag of gumdrops. As the rain passes, she tilts her head back and wails her loss and rage into the wind. And even though it guts me, even though I smash my fists into the glass until they bruise, I'm grateful for her final gift, that she's denied Plutarch the chance to broadcast our farewell. Aww. The moment our hearts shattered, it belongs to us. Aww. Wow. I like how the author imagined that, how she waited until the cameras couldn't reach her reaction, but she still made it known, like Haymitch known, how she was feeling. Okay, chapter 3. After a while, I slide down the wall, cradling my swollen hands, panting. Pain stabs my chest, and I wonder if a person's heart can really break. Probably. The word broken-hearted had to come from somewhere. I imagine my heart busted like a dozen glassy red pieces, their hard, jagged edges stabbing into my flesh at every beat. It may not be scientific, but it matches what I feel. Part of me thinks I will die right now, bleeding out on the inside, but it isn't going to be that simple. Eventually, my breathing slows and a general despair descends. I will never see Lenore Dove again, never hear her laugh coming from high above me in the branches, never feel the warmth of her in my arms as we lay on a bed of pine needles, my lips pressed into the hollow of her neck. Never pull a stray goose feather from her hair, or listen to her play her tune box, or press my finger into the crease that forms between her eyebrows when she's puzzling out a thought. Never see her face brighten at a bag of gumdrops, or a full moon, or the sound of me whispering, I love you like all fire. It's all been taken away. My love, my home, my ma, my sweet little brother. Why did I tell him he's the man of the house now? It wasn't fair. It's too much for someone so young and hopeful to shoulder. My mama on Pa's side used to say Sid was born looking on the sunny side. I think he's missed a lot of trouble down here on Earth because he's always studying the sky. Aw, he's fascinated by the sun, the clouds, the bodies that come out at night. Okay, so I guess those are planets. Tam Amber taught Lenore Dove about the stars as the covey used to navigate by them long ago, and she taught Sid. On a clear night, he drags us all outside to see the pictures they can make. There's the water dipper, just like ours in a bucket. That over there's the bow hunter. Okay, so it's like the Big Dipper or the Little Dipper, and the bow hunter, is that like Orion or Sagittarius? He looks like burdock, don't you think? That one's a swan, but Lenore Dove says she calls it a goose. And that's you, Ma. See the W? That's yours. W for your name, Willamay, and flipped around, it's an M for Ma. And Ma always looks pleased, because when does she get anything nice, let alone something so fine as her own set of stars? Aw, it's all about her giving things to us. I pretended not to see her bring in a chicken last night that I'm sure she planned to fry for my birthday. Probably took an extra wash to afford it. Will she be able to make ends meet without my wages from Hattie? She will, or she'll die trying. Ma, oh Ma. Plutarch was right. I did mess up big time, and I will pay for it with my death and with the broken hearts and lives of everyone who loves me. I stare out at the trees flying by. I always thought if one of us shook free of 12, it would be Lenore Dove. Her people were great travelers once, going from district to district to perform their music. Tam Amber remembers it, as he was about my age when the war ended and the peacekeepers rounded up the covey, killing all the adults and confining the kids to our district. Nothing Lenore Dove loves better than those stories of the old days, with her kin rattling around in a broken down pickup. When fuel got scarce, they resorted to hitchhiking it up to a team of horses. By the time they were herded into 12, the team was pulling an old wagon and most of them were on foot, but they were making it work. Cooking over open fires, rolling into towns, playing in warehouses like the Hob, or fields if none were available, famous in their way to the locals. I'm sure their life had its trials, but she has such a romantic view of it. I never mentioned that. Returning to it is impossible since no one can leave 12, and her uncles would never entertain the idea of hitting the road again. But Lenore Dove's convinced there must be people outside of Pan Am, far to the north. Sometimes she takes to disappearing deep in the woods, and I worry she's not coming back. Not really, but a little. Guess I can let that go now. Either we outrun the storm or it outruns us. The lingering raindrops on the window make me think about the cistern and how I ran off to see Lenore Dove instead of going home to fill it. I don't regret that precious final rendezvous with my love, but I wish I could have left Sid and Ma with a full tank, not just a few gallons the rain barrel might provide. Not that I think Ma will be able to do laundry this week, or I don't know, maybe she will. She didn't miss a beat when Pa died. Just made a giant pot of bean and ham hock soup, the way we do in the scene when someone dies, and got back to work. I remember sitting by the stove, my tears splashing on the floor a few inches from a puddle under a miner's shirt. In winter, clothes have to be hung inside to dry. Something's always dripping. The train keeps rolling on, putting miles between me and everything I've ever known or loved or hoped for. Dreams of one day letting Ma quit this laundry business. Leaning on Sid about his schoolwork so he might get a coveted above ground mine job, like keeping books or loading trains, where he could always lay eyes on the sky. And a life with Lenore Dove, loving her, marrying her, raising up our kids, her teaching them music, and me doing whatever, digging coal or making white liquor. It wouldn't have mattered if she was with me, all gone, all lost. Woodbine no longer seems reckless since he got to die in 12 and not in some sadistic arena out west like I will. A few years ago, the arena would go darkish without warning, and these giant coal-black weasels would melt right in front of the shadows and attack the tributes. I think of those pointy teeth ripping off the face of the girl from District 5. Ooh, I should have run. Should have let the peacekeepers blow off my head on the square. Plenty of things are worse than a quick, clean death, but by now, I might be wrapped in white linen, sleeping with my kin under the Abernathy headstone. We don't tend to let bodies ripen in the heat. Several hours pass before a key's turned in the lock and Plutarch sticks his head in my compartment. Feel up to joining the others? He says this like I'm recovering from a bellyache, not from being tased and torn from my life. I don't know what to make of this Plutarch. I hate him for forcing Ma and Sid to play act for the cameras, but he did let me hug them when Drusilla said I couldn't. And he probably saved Lenore Dove's life by asking to keep her for the tearful goodbye. He's as unpredictable as lightning. Might be worth staying on his good side. Besides, I need to check on Luella. I'm all she's got now. Sure, I say. Plutarch orders the peacekeepers to uncuff me, then leads me down the rocking hallway of the train to another compartment. Molded plastic seats and an array of neon colors line the sides of the car. I slide in next to Luella, across from Wyatt and Macely. Anybody hungry? Asks Plutarch. No one replies. Let me see what's cooking. He withdraws, locking the car door. I nudge Luella with my elbow. Hey, girl, I offer her my hand. Hers slips into mine, icy cold. Hey, she whispers. Wasn't fair how they took you. Yeah, it wasn't. For the first time, I consider this fair. It sure wasn't. My reaping was irregular, maybe even illegal, but the number of people in the capital to whom I could plead my case is exactly 0. I'm nothing but an amusing tale for Drusilla to tell between the caviar and the cream puffs. For me or anybody else, I tell Luella. Her little face is so pinched that before I really think it through, I ask, So, are you going to be my ally or what, sweetheart? She actually smiles. It's an old joke. When she was 5 and I was 8, she decided she was my sweetheart and trailed after me, telling anyone who'd listen. It lasted about a week. Then she transferred her affections to a boy named Buster, who gave her a bullfrog. I think her heart would have moved on anyway, as you're probably not too stuck on someone you have burping contests with, but we're still good buddies. If I had a little sister her age, I want her to be just like Luella, and I've harbored the hope that she'd wait for Sid to grow up before settling on a real sweetheart. Now, of course, her chances of growing up are nil. She's frozen forever at 13. I'll be your ally, she says. You and me, we can trust each other. You might think this would kick off a general District 12 alliance, but as I consider the other candidates, I'm not sure that's desirable. I can't get a read on Wyatt. On the one hand, that blank stare doesn't suggest a lively mind. On the other, he's fairly good size, and I've never heard anything bad about him, which is more than I can say for Macely. I have no shortage of information on her, most of it gathered firsthand, and none of it flattering. Macely Donner, where to begin? Right from when we started school, she and Marilee made an impression on me.
not just because of their town ways, but because my ma had recently lost a set of twins, two little girls, tiny things that came too early. She grieved them mightily in her way, scrubbing clothes against her washboard until they shredded, and while Pa was never one to show his feelings, I heard him bawling when he thought I was asleep. The Donner twins have always held a certain fascination for me, and I wondered what my own sisters might have been like. Not like the Donners, I hope. I guess Marilee isn't too bad, except she tends to go along with everything Maisily does. And Maisley's been too good for the rest of us from day one, prissing around in her shiny shoes and nail polish, and never without some kind of ornament. How that girl loves jewelry. I look at her now, staring out the train window, her fingers entwined in the strands of a half-dozen necklaces, some beaded, some braided cords, some with trinkets hanging off of them, and at least one real gold. While seam folk might have treasured ornament or two, nobody has 6 necklaces, and if they did, they wouldn't show off by wearing them all at once. Plutarch slides open the door and steps back to admit a Capitol attendant bearing a tray heaped with sandwiches. Each one's loaded with a day's wages of meat, fresh ham or roast beef or chicken cut thin and piled high, and sports a small paper flag of Pan Am on top. Oh, great. My mouth starts watering, and I realize I haven't eaten since breakfast. The attendant offers the tray to Luella, who hesitates, overwhelmed by the bounty before her. The McCoys can go weeks without meat, and what they do get generally comes from a tin. The attendant registers her discomfort and adopts a patronizing tone. Is there a problem, miss? Luella reddens. The McCoys don't lack pride, but before she can answer, Maisily snaps. Of course there's a problem. Do you expect her to eat with her hands? Or don't you have plates and silverware in the Capitol? So she has spunk. Now it's the attendant's turn to blush. He stammers out, they're just sandwiches. I mean, people pick them up. Without even a napkin? Asks Maisily. I seriously doubt that. The attendant turns to Plutarch, thrown. Do they get napkins? Certainly, they're our guests, Tibby, says Plutarch mildly. I've got to check on something in the kitchen. Let's see if we can scrounge up a few plates, too. Excuse us. When the door click shuts, I can't help laughing. Shut up, says Maisily. Listen, Luella, if you let them treat you like an animal, they will, so don't let them. Ooh, I like her. She's got some spunk. It's a little too much for Luella. Her eyes narrow, and she retorts, I wasn't planning to. Someone cut me off. Fine, says Maisily. You don't need my help. I don't need help from anybody who said my sister uses coal dust for powder, Luella tells her. Oh, bringing up some old grudges. Maisily smiles a little, remembering. She got a lot cleaner after that. This reminds me of when I was 6 and got chiggers, and Maisily nicknamed me Itchy Itchy Hey Mitchy. Nobody would come near me for 2 weeks, even though I told them it wasn't contagious. That name still makes me cringe 10 years later. Any inclination I had to team up with Maisily disappears. She's making this ally thing easy for us, I say to Luella. She sure is, Luella crosses her arms. Then something catches her eye and she frowns. I follow her gaze to Wyatt, who looks as remote as ever, his eyes fixed on a sign on the door that reads, Watch your step. There's a glint in the evening sunlight. He's knuckle-rolling a scrip coin in a smooth, practiced fashion. At the click of the key in the latch, the coin vanishes. Tibby wheels in a cart laden with the dinner stuff. Everything seems to be made of plastic in this train. Cart, seats, utensils, cups, plates. Easy to spray down and sanitize after we're out, I guess. I checked, and there's a surprise for dessert, Plutarch teases from the door. Like we need any more surprises today. Tibby hovers over Luella. What can I get you? We have chicken, ham, and roast beef. Okay, being a little bit more polite. Ham, says Luella. Sure, you won't try a roast beef as well? The chef uses a marinade that makes it rather special, says Tibby. Why not? Luella accepts her plate, napkin, utensils, and a bottle of lemonade. When Tibby turns to Maisily, his solicitousness vanishes. And you? Macely takes her time considering the platter. The roast beef, as rare as you have it. She spreads her napkin out to protect her skirt, then arranges her utensils on it. Trays wouldn't be unheard of, but never mind. When Wyatt and I have received loaded plates, I order all 3 sandwiches. The attendant and Plutarch withdraw. I look at Macely, who's daintily cutting hers into tiny bites and spearing them with her fork. Believe me, no one else in Pan Am, not capital or district, eats a sandwich like that. I decide to start with the ham and take a big bite. Boy, it's good. Smoky, salty, and drizzled with something that tastes like Ma's Chow Chow. I notice Luella peeking under the top layer of bread. Go on, eat up, I tell her. My ally could use some meat on her bones. She digs in. It doesn't take long for me to polish off my sandwiches and drain my lemonade bottle. The food lifts my spirits a bit. Maybe there's a way out of this, like we make a break for it and jump from the train. As I puzzle over how we might achieve this, Plutarch reappears and invites us to move to the lounge car with him. In the hall, I check for possible escape routes, but peacekeepers block every potential exit. We relocate to the back of the train where an area is done up like a sitting room. The plastic upholstered furniture is softer and stickier than our compartment seats. Stickier? Capital News plays on a screen built into the wall, and the recap of today's reaping begins by the time we've settled in. I've been working on the District 12 segment all afternoon, says Plutarch. Gave it to the old Heavens Be spin. You 4 come off beautifully. Drusilla totters in the door, a tall red drink garnished with vegetables in her hand. Okay, so I guess that's like one of those hangover drinks. The front of her yellow military jacket, now unbuttoned, keeps flapping open to reveal her undergarments. Plutarch offers her a chair. Saved you the best seat. She collapses into it, pulls a stalk of celery from her drink, and chomps on it. How old did I look today, Plutarch? Oh gosh. Not a day over 30, Plutarch promises. Everybody commented on it. Oh boy. Well, you get what you pay for, she slurs, gingerly probing her cheekbones with the celery. She points at the screen and laughs. Ha! There's Juvenia. Little Miss Perfect didn't get any cloud cover. She looks ghastly, don't you think? Juvenia, a pint-sized lady in 6-inch heels and pink polka dots, begins calling names in District 1. The program moves on, and they air every district's drawing. Besides us, 44 tributes were reaped today, half girls, half boys, of every shape and size. As usual, the kids from Districts 1, 2, and 4 live up to their nickname as the Careers, which means they seem to have been training for the Hunger Games since birth. Here and there, chance has thrown in some additional brawny kids, but plenty of scrawny ones balance them out. On the brawny to scrawny scale, I do okay, largely because of all those bags of grain I haul for Hattie. But some of those Careers could crush me like a bug, and Luella's yet to get her growth. As a strapping boy mounts the stage in District 11, Drusilla states the obvious. You lot better be able to run. She doesn't even say this in a mean way, which makes it scarier. Other factions besides size comes into play. Brain, skills, strategy, and never rule out luck, says Plutarch. Your mentors will talk you through everything. Our mentors, our guides, our masterminds, our protectors in the Hunger Games. Except District 12 tributes don't have automatic mentors, not even one, because we're the only district without living victors, and that's who the job traditionally falls to. In 50 years, we've only had one victor, and that was a long time ago. A girl who no one seems to know anything about. Back then, barely anyone in 12 had a television, so the games were mostly hearsay. I've never seen her in the clips of the old shows, but then those early efforts were rarely featured, as they are said to be badly filmed and lacking in spectacle. My parents weren't born yet, and even Mamaw couldn't tell me much about the girl. I brought our Victor up with Lenore Dove a few times, but she never wanted to discuss her. Ooh. Who are our mentors anyway, I asked. They are in the process of selecting them from the pool of victors not tapped to oversee their own district tributes, says Plutarch. Don't worry, some very talented candidates are in the running. Oh, this will be interesting. Like, what if it's like a District 1 person? Since there's so many victors in the careers, there's a high chance that it could be a career and they could look down on the District 12 kids. Oh, yeah, that'll cause some tension. Yeah, candidates who would be pariahs if they led a District 12 tribute to victory. Oh gosh, oh no. While their own district's tributes died. Oh, I didn't even think of that angle where like a career could try to even sabotage or not do their job at all, so their district could have a better chance of winning. Most years, I don't even hear about who ends up mentoring the kids from 12. Let's face it, we're on our own. Drusilla lets out a gasp. Daylight is murder. What? Oh, because of, gosh, she's so focused on her looks. They cut to District 12 where our fates were sealed. And yet you're luminous, Plutarch assures her. I watch both fascinated and sickened by the flawless transition from Maiseli's drawing to Wyatt's and mine. Not even a hint of Woodbine's shooting or the turmoil that followed. And there's my name, and there's me, and there's Ma gasping, Sid crying, Lenore Dove with her hands clasped over her mouth. That's not what happened, I say. None of the footage has been tampered with. Not really time to do that properly, says Plutarch. I just did a little card stacking to help you out. You did what? Asks Luella. Before he can answer, Wyatt, who hasn't opened his mouth except to eat since 12, weighs in. He stacked the deck in our favor. He shuffled the shots around to give us an advantage. Plutarch beams at him. Exactly. A corner of Luella's mouth twists down. You mean like in card games, when people gamble. Isn't that cheating? It is, and it isn't, says Plutarch. Look, we need to sell you to the sponsors. If I showed the audience what really happened, the Chance boys' head being blown off, the crowd control, Hamish attacking the peacekeepers. I object. I didn't attack anyone. They attacked my girl and I stepped in. Same thing, says Drusilla. You're not allowed to interfere with our peacekeepers. I'm trying to show you in the best possible light, says Plutarch. Maiseli rolls her eyes, like when our shop calls stale marshmallows chewy and then charges an extra penny for them. I scowl at her. I've fallen for that chewy marshmallow scam more than once. Stress the positive, ignore the negative, says Plutarch. Instead of 4 violent district piglets who hate the capital, Drusilla begins. You're a quartet of attractive kids who hop right up there on that stage to the cheers of your district, raring to go, finishes Plutarch. You should be down on your knees kissing this man's feet. Maybe you won't get any sponsors, but at least you haven't repelled them. He's given you a total makeover, says Drusilla. You mean he's given the capital a total makeover, scoffs Maiseli. Exactly. Made you look competent when you couldn't even pull off the reaping. Oh, she's got some fire in her. I like to think it was mutually beneficial, says Plutarch, and the audience is none the wiser. I saw to that. I'm entirely the capital's plaything. They will use me for their entertainment and then kill me, and the truth will have no say in it. Plutarch acts friendly, but his indulgences, my family's goodbyes, his fancy sandwiches, are just a method to manage me, because happy playthings are easier to handle than raging ones. To get his footage, he'll indulge me right into the arena. As if to confirm this, the door to the sitting room bursts open to reveal Tibby, his face aglow with the 16 candles on a giant birthday cake. What? They're going to celebrate his birthday on the train? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to stop for here. But so far, it's really good. I like how the reaping, it's different than the other books. And I'm wondering if there's a main villain here. You know, the original trilogy had President Snow as the main villain, and then the President Snow's backstory books, songbirds and snakes. Basically, Snow was kind of a villain, even though he was the main character, but that like crazy mad scientist lady who was encouraging President Snow into the dark side, I feel like she was largely the villain. Yeah, so she shared the villainous role with the main character, President Snow, in that one. So I'm wondering if there is going to be a villain in this at all, or is the villain just going to be basically the Capitol's system itself? So I guess we'll find out later. Yeah, this is good so far. It's got me really engaged, and it has me thinking about a lot of things that little pieces of our society that, if grown to an extent or merged into a more awful society than it is, you could really see this happening, where our obsession with entertainment and feeling could merge into a tool to be used for those in power who control everything, who control all the money, who control all the food. And yeah, the people in the Capitol think they're doing the right thing. Meanwhile, a lot of people are suffering, and a lot of the suffering is covered up or edited, like they have in the film, or like sensationalized, and turned and twisted and kind of almost sanitized as well, because they didn't want to show the ugly sides of things, but they still wanted to like get a tear or some kind of emotional reaction out of the audience, but they're not showing them like the full truth. They're only showing them little pieces and editing the truth into basically lies. So I guess we'll find out later. All right. So thanks for watching.